Subconscious mind mastery, 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 mastery.
Look at that green. Hi everybody, Thomas Miller on the Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast. This is a video version. If you're listening on the audio track is there, but you might do better to watch the video. We're on a little hiking trip, and I had something on my heart and my mind that I thought we might talk about. So if you're able to, hop over to the YouTube channel, not Fun Astrology, that's the other one. Say that one 6 times a week. So, let's start this over, right? Take 2. But we're glad to have you on either place. So this is, Jamie suggested, she said, hey, I love your walking in the woods stuff. So, well, we can do a lot of that. And thank you for that, Jamie. I really appreciate it. So since we've been doing this together since 2013, some of these things were lessons that were hammered out in journals and adapted and adopted. And then some of the podcasts that we've done have just been pontifications, like, hey, I'm working through something here. And I think one of the differences of the Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast is that this guy has never claimed or personified to have figured it all out. And that's the way I started it, and that's where we are now. It's like I really truly believe that we are on a soul journey until we basically can't experience the journey anymore, and we go on to the next journey. So this is one of those. This is one that I'm grappling with, but I don't have it figured out. If you do, shoot me a message. I'd like to hear. But what I'm kind of digesting and struggling with here is this whole thing that comes under the broad category of separation of timelines. There are a lot of us that are on a spiritual path. I mean, we want to live that higher vibration, and we get it. I mean, we know that there have been predictions of this separation of consciousness, and that lower consciousness and higher consciousness will find their way apart, or at least gravitate toward each other. So the biggest, everything that's personifying right now was captured in Fred's levels of energy. So if you understand levels of energy, you understand the concepts in that book, audiobook. audiobook. And thank you for those of you who have it. But yeah, we're dealing with, I guess, maybe 3 areas. One person might say that they want to really be on their spiritual path. They get it. And they want to align with a higher vibration. They want to align with love and peace and creativity and joy and gratitude and those kinds of things. And they live that, and they experience what it's like, and they're like, oh, this is wonderful. I want more of this. And we have conscious communities that are developing around this and the whole thing. And then there's just the average person, and they're just living life. They're doing their thing. Consciousness is really not a factor in daily living. Making enough money to pay the bills is, raising the kids, getting an education, whatever all those things are. And then I think there are the people that are truly on a lower vibration. Those are your categories. And here's the thing that I came to realize a couple of years ago, that the spiritual people who you think are playing the spiritual game can actually be some of the lowest vibrations out there. And that lesson has come hard to me, and that's a big part of what I'm kind of struggling with here is, how do we set our intention that we are going to live the higher timeline, and then know that a large percentage of the time, pick whatever it is for you in your life, that we are probably dealing with people that are not on that same vibration, don't want to be on that same vibration, and may be on the lower vibration. And yet they're the people that are in our offices, they're in our friend groups, they're in our social circles, and more and more and more now we are seeing this separation. We're seeing ourselves pull apart. And then sometimes you just get dumped. And so many of you have had that happen. You've let me know. I've had it happen. Mine hangs out there. Mine just is out there. But yeah, people just separate. And you think, the only thing that makes sense here, when you look at all of the factors, and only you are the one who has experienced those factors, that you know what they are. You look at all of those factors and you think there is no reason that this should have happened. Things could have been worked out. We were in a process of discussion, or I was thinking I was valued in this setting, family, work, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the rug is pulled out and there's no trap door, whoosh, right through the floor. So my pondering is, how do we position ourselves when we know this kind of thing is happening? And I'll tell you, while I don't have the answers, one thing I do have is a greater commitment. Because having experienced it several times now, and realizing what's at stake, and sensing that this is really the only dynamic that could explain this, and knowing that it is there, it's in the astrology, it's in the ancient writings, it's been predicted, it's in contemporary writings. So we know that this has been, get a little uphill go here. We know that this has been in the works. And that's why experiencing is not that big of a, it's not like oh wow, look at what's happening. No, it's, oh, okay, so this is happening. And this must be what it looks like. And that's the only way that I can explain it. And to participate in it, because I don't yet, I don't have thoughts, maybe you do, on how do we interact with it? I was on a walk the other night and I was grappling with this question, and I almost went to my muscle testing, didn't get there yet, because as I started to formulate the question, this was not a yes-no kind of thing. It was just a heavy one of those lean-in impressions that just said, what would Jesus do? What did Jesus do? I thought for a minute. Well, he interacted. He was available. He definitely lived on a different plane than the people he interacted with. The one group that he would not come to terms with were the hypocrites. And those happened to be the religious leaders. He did not have any room for their hypocrisy. He would have loved them for who they were. In fact, he met with Nicodemus, one of the most dynamic conversations there's recorded in Scripture, I think. You must be born again. Nicodemus is like a Pharisee. He's like, what do you mean? I can't get back in my mother's womb? It's like Jesus is like, oh, Lord. That's like Fred, he's like, I've written all these books. Jesus is like, are you kidding me? You have to have a physical birth and you have to have a spiritual birth. And the fact that you're even watching this highly is indicative that you have had some kind of spiritual birth, some kind of spiritual awakening, or at least a spiritual curiosity. Keep pursuing it. And then the other thing that Jesus did is, I love this one, he'd hang around with people for a while and then he'd disappear. How many times in the New Testament they were looking for him in various places? I love that. I can do that. I'm a good Scorpio. I can handle that. Maybe Jesus was a Scorpio. He'd just disappear. But maybe that's part of the solution, is that we are mysterious and mystic enough that we can go to the parties, we can go to the events, we can hang out with the people and know that there is a great big line of division there, that we're not going over there and they're not coming over here. So we just are in the presence of another human being, in love, in all the high timeline vibrations of love and peace and enjoyment and just availability. That's high. That's high vibe. And then we disappear. Like Oh, where did they go? I thought he went to the bathroom. And you're gone. That's kind of a life of a mystic, isn't it? I think. So maybe there's something in there. And then as we continue to observe that the timelines are separating, it helps us frame what happens. I mean, I've got one of our listeners lost a lifetime childhood friend. And in her 40s, that's hard to replace. And this friend said, I've outgrown her. Outgrown her. And I know that our listener is on a very high timeline path and seeking and doesn't do the normal things that normal people do. And so I wonder, outgrew means, see, the low vibe can't connect with the high vibe. This is going to be a factor. I think it's going to be an issue. It's going to continue to develop. So I kind of like to boil things down into actionable steps, right? So how about one that we can realize that this is taking place? Like, let's always remember that timelines can separate. Higher and lower vibrations will pull apart. And if you start to spot it, if you start to spot the lower vibe, then you can start to get prepared that chances are it may leave you. I think that's one, awareness. If awareness is number one, then certainly determination could be number two. Where are you on your path? Make a real clear determination who you're going to be at all times. I'll tell you what this is doing for me, is it's making me all the more determined to be on this path and to be on the higher vibration, to not stoop down to where things are. Love is the perfect example. I think love is the key. I had somebody tell me not long ago when I was suggesting that I send love to people who are like this situation that I just went through, where somebody was threatening and insulting me. I just sent love. I sent love. Every time that situation came to mind or that person came to mind, I sent love from my heart, truly, the way we did on Level Up. And the response to that was, oh, I've never thought of that. And then the response was, I could never do that. I was like, timeline separation, upcoming. You can just know that those are two areas that are not going to fit, and let it be okay, because right now it seems to be that the separations are real and we're not playing around here. This is truly a shift in consciousness, and to me that's really exciting, because I'd love to go hang out with the high vibe crowd. People say the folks in hell have a lot more fun. Oh, no, you don't get it. Sorry, you don't get it. That's a bad joke. And I think let's make number 3 what was just used as example in number 2. Until we get more clarity, let love be the default. So if you're going to err, if you're going to mess up, if you're going to maybe not get it right, try mess up by loving people. That's what I'm trying to say. Mess up by loving people, and don't worry about the outcome from there. In other words, if somebody shuts you down, cuts you off, whatever, maybe they'll be gone forever. Maybe they'll come back. But you can still send them love. I do that right now. Everybody that has separated from me, even the ones that are no longer physical, Mike, back in October 2021, 22, whenever it was, he was going on this, doing this online virtual high timeline thing, and then all of a sudden tried to reach out. Hey, how's it going? Nothing. He was dead. And I send him love. I send his soul love. And I'm sure he sends mine love as well. And probably for those of you too, because he loved this podcast. So that's the thing. Let's default to love until we have more clarity. And even when we have more clarity, we'll default to love. Because, go back to the Bible, there are faith, hope, and love, 1 Corinthians 13. And the greatest of these, it's love. So I'm sending you love. Thank you for listening to this rambling walk. And I will see you on another episode soon. And I love you and thank you for listening and watching.